Imagine you're in a class writing a test of which you know absolutely none of the answers. You wonder why you didn't study last night. You immediately think of all the possible excuses, such as, oh, I didn't have time, or it was my mom's birthday. But you know perfectly well that you didn't have any classes and your mom's birthday is still half a year away. So why didn't you study? Because you were procrastinating, not doing what you were supposed to. You're probably playing a game or another recreational activity. You probably find yourself doing the exact same thing when you have a final project due in 2 days. In fact, you'll be doing the same thing for years to come. Eventually, though, you'll get better at managing your time because you don't want to keep facing the same angry teacher for the same stupid reason. School teaches you to be independent, to be responsible, and to act appropriately for different situations. School promotes independence by constantly causing you to make your own decisions. I mean, sure, teachers do make a lot of decisions for you, but at school, you are mostly in control of what you want to do. For example, if your class is on a field trip and you missed it, and the class you're currently in lets you have free time. The problem is, your teacher has left you some work to do, and your speech arts isn't done either. Just as you're about to panic, you take a look at the instructions and it turns out he gave you a choice to do speech arts. So you do that because it's allowed. Alright, so maybe not the best example, but that scenario will teach you a lesson. First of all, you would know to be more attentive to what you're reading, and second of all, you would be able to do something productive instead of panicking. These are all very important things you have to learn if you want to be successful in the future. School is teacher responsibility, which includes many important things such as time management. Have you ever neglected your work for something more interesting such as video games, reading, or any other forms of entertainment? Well, I know for sure that I've stayed up until midnight, right before the due date, in order to finish a project. Of course, the situation does depend on if you're working with anyone or if you're interested in the topic. Also, being responsible means that you are willing to do things that will benefit yourself without being told. By making mistakes, you'll eventually figure out what you should be doing at the right times. This is also called integrity. Trust me, these things might seem really unnecessary right now, but they'll help you in the future. Well, that is if you don't want to end up living in a garbage can on wheels. Last point. School teaches you how to act appropriately, or in other words, self-regulation. I bet there's someone in your class who always seems to be doing the wrong thing, and you can't seem to find one, then it's probably you. But for all of you who aren't those people, don't you just hate it when they postpone the whole class? Or when something funny happens and everyone laughs and you pray that they'll stop after a few seconds, but they don't? Well, it just so happens that your teachers hate it too, and after being shouted at and glared at by the whole class and the teacher, they'll stop. Eventually. In addition to that, schools present new situations in which you'll learn how to properly act by either watching others or just making mistakes and getting hissed at. You'll have to learn how to regulate yourself sometime or another, so why not do it while you're still allowed to make chances? There are many skills that will help you greatly in your future. Among those skills, some of the most important ones are independence, responsibility, and self-regulation, all of which schools promote. Independence is learned by having to make your own decisions. There are many possibilities of how the situation will turn out, but through experience, you'll be able to tell good decisions from bad ones, so hopefully you won't grow up to rob banks. The second skill is responsibility. By being responsible, you should be able to be finished project at least a few days before the due date, so you can make minor adjustments to make things better. The last major skill is self-regulation. Self-regulation is being able to control yourself and forcing yourself to do whatever is appropriate for the current situation. In conclusion, while you may not think that school teaches you anything, you will eventually learn the skills that will help you significantly. Also, through this speech, I hope you realize that when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, not only are you being disrespectful to the teacher, you're also annoying the heck out of everyone else too.